I'm so blue. Color me see through. Hello. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Hello.
Mysterious universe or just a floating rock.
We'll never know.
It's just our brains. Perception's not the same. It depends on who you ask and what's their name.
All right, Chappell Roan today, girls.
What's my name? Stuck
In my head, in real life I'm in bed, belly's being fed and I'm okay.
I'm just
All right.
fine, yet
All I do is whine.
I'll put you in my mind, 'cause I know
I don't make sense,
I've been nothing
then but
so
blessed.
last my life.
Stuck in My Head by Devin Doe.
Why I take
Things serious. Links in the description.
a bit
Delirious, all in vain.
after all, life's just a game.
All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and give that a pause. Devin Doe, Stuck in My Head. I miss listening to that. Oh my gosh, Jess says, why did I think this was Brittany singing? Nope. It's not me, girls. It's Devin Doe. Check them out. Links in the description for their YouTube channel. They let me use their music, small independent artists. They also have another song out that I love so much, but that is definitely not me. I am not talented like that. I cannot write my own music. Like, they wrote their music, sang their lyrics. Like, it's all them. That's not me, girls. I'm a YouTuber, not a singer. Okay. Now, going into today's episode, talk about bubbles, right? I think the bubble of it all is going to be so much more clear. And let's be open-minded, curious. Let's try to understand that people are coming from a place of pain. And they're also, when we're defensive, we're fighting something. And the question is, what are we fighting? Also, how much more echoey is it in this room because the bed is gone? Do you guys like it? Do we like the set change? Isn't it beautiful? Honestly, vibes, like honest to God vibes. But I feel like it's so much more echoey in this room. So hopefully the mic isn't picking it up too much. But oh my gosh, vibes, beautiful, love it. I feel free. I feel free. Okay, this has turned into my office/yoga room now, which I'm very excited about. Because sometimes when we do yoga on the Discord, we do it once a month. April 15th is our next session coming up. When we do it, sometimes the big stretches, I don't have enough room. So now I have enough room, which I'm really excited about. Today, we're going to watch sections of the Call Her Daddy podcast with Chapell Roan. We're not going to watch the whole thing. I did watch the whole thing personally. Can I be honest with you? I have never watched a real interview of Chapell Roan because I just haven't. And our girl's autistic, right? Like, I don't want to diagnose anybody, but our girl's autistic, right? It's just so autism coded, the whole interview, that I was like, oh, like everything about the way she talks, her mannerisms. Now I know she's bipolar too, which makes her neurodivergent, which we love. But I swear, like, the whole time she's talking, the way she expresses herself, the way neurotypical women are reacting to Chapell, the way some women are reacting to Chapell in general, the fact that they don't like her, she seems grumpy to them, they don't like her mannerisms. Like, I have no problem with any of the things about Chapell's mannerisms. Like, we might disagree on opinions, but I do not find her to be miserable. I do not find her to be unlikable. I do not find her to be grumpy. I find her to be like a 27-year-old who's just being 27. Like, she's so obviously in her 20s. Like, nothing about Chapell says anything but I'm still in my 20s, which is so valid. So I'm watching this interview and I'm just thinking, Yeah, I think she rubs people the wrong way, the way autistic people do. Now, I did Google on Reddit to see what other people were saying because I don't have X anymore. So now Reddit's the only other forum website I can go to see what people are doing, even though I don't have an account there. And people did feel, not that they're trying to say she's autistic, but to say as an autistic person, they really identify with how people feel about Chapell Roan. The way they reject her, the way they think she's miserable, the way they don't like her mannerisms. And I felt that as well as an autistic woman, like watching it, I was like, she is giving me like this. It just feels sometimes when we get feedback from people about how they feel about us, I'm never sure if it's just them fighting their prejudice and biases or if it's just literally like the communication style they do not like. Like they do not like our communication style, but I didn't personally find anything offensive about Chappell's communication style. But let's go ahead and watch the full context clip of the clip that's going viral in regards to parents. And please note that Chappell Roan's comments are about parents, not about mothers. And please note every person who is mad about her is a mother. And I think that says more about them than Chappell. But just a reminder, the girl's still in her 20s. Okay, like I think I really need that to be so clear for people. Okay, let me go ahead and get this going for us. Make sure it's not going to blow out your ears. Okay, here we go.
Okay, are you still close with your friends from back home?
Yeah, I am. They're really awesome. We have such different lives. They are, a lot of them are married with children, and like they have their own houses, and like, and to me, I'm like, I don't know when that's gonna happen for me. Like, I don't know when that is realistic, if ever. So,
do you want that?
Like get married and
yeah.
I don't know. I like part of me is like, is it even gonna be legal to marry like my wife one day, you know?
Which is just not to be so gay right now, but another thing for their heterosexual anti-gay people to remember, why do gay people want marriage? So we can plan for the future. So we can plan for the future, girls, just like you wake up every day hoping for your wedding day, getting ready to plan your future. That's why gay people want to get married, so they can plan for their future. It's hard to plan for your future when you don't know what legal rights you'll have, so you're winging it. But straight people never have to worry about this. Straight people never wake up and think, I wonder if I'm allowed to get married.
You know? I don't know. So, but kids, all of my friends who have kids are in hell. I don't know anyone. I actually don't know anyone who's like happy and has children at this age. I have like a 1-year-old, like 3-year-old, 4 and under, 5 and under. I literally have not met anyone who's happy, anyone who has like light in their eyes, anyone who has slept.
This is not looking too good.
Okay, so we're gonna keep watching just a little bit, but that's the particular clip that's going viral and people are getting very, very offended by it. And I will say that she is 27, so the people around her are 27. I also want to say that you think that's a harsh criticism. I think 90% of people aren't qualified to be parents. So if you want to clip anybody and make it go viral, that's the clip, girls. I think 90% of people are not qualified to be parents, myself included, if we're shooting for the ideal. If we're not shooting for the ideal, well, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. Unqualified people, having parents, not prepared, not ready, can't even pay for themselves, let alone for children, but they figure God will find a way. You know what's so funny? The differences between progressive financial shows like The Financial Diet and conservative shows like Dave Ramsey. The Financial Diet will say, buy your Starbucks. It doesn't matter when it comes to buying a house or being financially independent. And Dave Ramsey will say, don't buy the Starbucks, but have a kid because it's the will of God. Okay. Now, I do think even the parents I know who are so happy to be parents and they love being parents, they're obviously tired. They're obviously overworked. They're obviously exhausted. And without the extra support of the village, it becomes harder. But I will say this, regardless if you choose to not have children or to have children, I think it takes a level of responsibility and a level of wisdom to make those lifelong decisions, right? I don't think it's wrong to want children. I don't think it's wrong to not want children. I think this moralizing of the choice is really the issue we all have to contend with, right?
I'm like, why did my parents do that? I'm the oldest of 4. My mom had me at 23.
Wait, when you're saying that about your friends though, like, do they think this is all wild, that like how famous you are and like all of it, when they see articles about you? Are they like calling you up and be like, Kaylee, what the fuck? Or are they just like, this is your life, bitch, like text us when you want to come over?
I think they're just like, they're mothers, like they're fucking busy and they have jobs and lives.
Yeah.
Like,
and I also think that single people that complain that their parent friends no longer hang out with them, I feel like That's between you and your friend. That has nothing to do with the kids. It's like people who get married and they're like, oh, you never hang out with us now that you're married. Like there's an unhealthy and healthy way to have this conversation. And I feel like people are never having the real conversation. Have a conversation with your bestie. If you feel like your bestie's pulling away from you, talk to them and see where they're at in their life. Because, you know, you acting like, oh, it's because they had kids, they don't have time for me. Sure. But also, do you have time for them in the context of them having kids, right? So we talk about this village, we talk about community, but the truth is that sometimes your single friends don't know how to build community when you have a kid around. Like sometimes your single friends only know how to be supportive to you if you're still single and without children. And so sometimes that's why I think friendships are meant to end and you're meant to move on and with your life. But blaming the kids is the problem. Like, don't blame the kids. They didn't ask to be here. Blame yourself for not making good financial decisions by having them too preemptively, or take into account that some people have surprise pregnancies. Most people are having surprise pregnancies, you know, and keep in mind that most people are also pressured in a lot of these bubbles, especially where she's from, to have those children, right? I mean, we have JD Vance, the vice president of the United States, saying that a woman's best, like most fulfilling job is being a mother. So this isn't exactly it wouldn't be abnormal for Chappell to feel a little rebellious from the bubble she was raised in and to feel like, yeah, I'm not prioritizing being a mother. She's also 27, which for a lot of us is like very young to have children. Like that's the new shift in reality. Like, yes, you can have a kid at 23 and I'm so happy for you. But also a lot of us are not doing that. A lot of us are not interested in 23-year-old pregnancies. You know what I'm saying? Like none of us are financially set at 23 enough to even have that child. And it's not like, you know, I don't even know if these people are. So I don't even understand the disconnect, except that bubbles are going to bubble, right? What's normal in their bubble is going to feel like an attack from Chappell's bubble, right?
Like I am just their friend. You know what I mean? Like they are so sweet and so supportive and come out to show.
Hold on. Chet says, I don't appreciate her putting a label on all young parents, but did she do that? Why do you think you heard that? Right? Like, why do you think your brain heard that? Because like, this is really a fault in our own brains. This isn't your fault. She literally said her friends, nobody she knows. So why did everyone hear that as anything to do with anyone who is a stranger to Chappell? Why do you think? Because we are psychological creatures. We are animals on a planet. We are limited by our processors. And our ears are bad. We are bad listeners. One of the parts of introspection, extrospection that's so important is listening. And universally, humans are terrible listeners. We are so bad at listening to people and hearing them. So just a reminder, if you think someone said something, listen to it multiple times to make sure, because nowhere did Chappell say moms. Nowhere did Chappell say all. Nowhere did Chappell say I'm talking about anyone I don't know. Okay?
Shows and like they have to get fucking babysitters to come to my shows. And like I don't ever expect like when I
also think that people forget. Okay, I'll give you an example. I think people forget as parents, we build our understanding of your relationship to parenting by what you tell us. So when we talk, you only talk about how shitty it is to be a parent, then you can't blame your friends for thinking it's shitty to be a parent when they're you. I'll give you an example. I've got a friend who's like on again, off again with this dude. Maybe, I don't know. They're like having a thing. And they don't like that I don't like the guy. But I told them everything I know about the guy came from you. And everything you've said about this guy tells me he's a red flag. I would not have this opinion of this man if you didn't tell me about him. So be careful what you tell your friends. Because at the end of the day, like you are the one giving us the information to form a picture. I can't form this picture without you telling me. And if every time you talk to me about this person, it's negative, then I'm going to think he's a bad person. Now, to be fair, and I told my friend, am I right though? Am I wrong? And they're like, well, you're right. He is like, he has problems. I was like, right. So like, tell your friends they should be a safe space for you, but like, don't blame your friends for having a bad opinion of somebody. You know what I mean? Because you only share the bad parts. I think it is shocking to me when people don't understand that. Like, you can't tell me 90% of your stories are bad about this person and your relationship and then be surprised. I'm like, break up, bro. Don't be with this person. And they're like, what? How could you say that? I'm like, well, every time you tell me about them, it's bad. If you have bad things in this is why they say go to a therapist or a middle person, because a therapist isn't going to judge you for staying in a relationship. They're just going to help you. But if you tell your friends and family, well, now they're building an image of this person that they don't have enough interaction with based off of what you've just said. So Chappell is just building her understanding of parenting based off what her friends have told her about her friend group, right? Like my brother, my farm brother, he's obviously so happy to be a dad. His wife loves being a mom, but they are tired. One of the things they consistently tell me when I talk to them is we're tired. We're not sleeping enough, and there's never enough help to help us with the 5 kids. Like, we don't have enough help. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Even though they have a pretty solid village, it's not the same as having maybe Auntie Brittany who can babysit once a week nearby. Because when we lived together in Arizona, like in different places, they would drop the kids off once a week and I would watch them. They don't have that anymore, right? And so, like, yes, it's nice. It's nice to be honest about how hard it is to parent. So people don't think it's going to be perfect. It's like pregnancy. We oversell pregnancy as something that's so easy and safe when that's just not true for a lot of people, especially Black mothers in hospitals. Like, we have to be so real that, you know, don't make it scarier than it is, but don't make it, you know, roses and sunshine more than it is. Getting pregnant is no joke. Every time I see a mother after pregnancy harm her child, I know that's a chemical issue. Like, there are medical things that happen to your body. Your teeth fall out. Your nails can fall out. You can lose your hair. You can literally enter psychosis and end up killing your baby without even realizing it because you were simply giving birth. You were simply having a baby. It can trigger things. So with peace and love, we can talk about how beautiful motherhood is and parenting, but we don't have enough resources anywhere globally to really account for the nuanced situations with those pregnancies. I knew of a woman who, perfect life, perfect career, boss lady, decided to have a kid, triggered some sort of something, allegedly bipolar, like her whole life downhill, completely lost her ability to work, completely lost her ability to function simply because she got pregnant, and it was the right like trigger. Same thing with me, like getting COVID, and then it triggered fibro, and then it triggered my body losing its desire to be a mother. Like, I'm not kidding you that my heaviest decision about not having kids after wanting to have kids for my whole life. When I say I've wanted to have kids my whole life, I mean, like, at 9 years old, I was like, I can't wait to grow up to be a mom. My friends know me as a girl who didn't even want a partner. She wanted to be a mother. Like, I never cared about having a partner. I cared about having my role as a mother fulfilled, my role as like a caretaker fulfilled, right? So when I had COVID and then I got diagnosed with fibro, I had a physical change in my body because I'm an animal. I'm having a biological experience. Whatever desire I had to have children completely went away. It took a while, but it completely went away. I mean this when I say this. I don't ever think about having babies. And that's so new for me, but it's just like, it just happened. And I know I'm a biological creature, so I'm not upset about it because, like, I already mourned it during the time when I was like not fully changed. And now that I'm fully changed, I just never think about it. But for some people that could be devastating. I just think a lot of people don't become parents for the right reasons. And so I think they also get defensive over the idea that people are judging them for having kids. I'm never judging you for making a decision with your body. I might gay judge you for not being able to pay your own bills and then keep making babies. Like, I am going to judge you, girl. Come on. Please don't tell me you're smart and wise and you're making more children with no budget. Like, what part of that is smart? What part of that is wise? And what part of that is fair to that kid? But I get it. We're animals on a planet. We want to procreate. So you go do that. But, you know, I'm going to raise an eyebrow. Give me the grace to raise an eyebrow.
When I go home, I love reminiscing about like destroying public property with them and like doing some illegal shit and like literally hating the same bitches for 15 years. Like, we just can't get over stuff. I will never get over.
It's nice though. It's like therapeutic when you have those girls from like when you're younger, because it's like that is the shit that it genuinely is therapeutic to just be like, and that little fucking cunt from, and you're like, I don't even know where she is these days. Like, fuck you.
They're probably a better person now.
Facts.
That's the thing. I still hate those bitches from high school. There was one girl
Okay, so Chappell's talking about her personality and how she's not too far removed from her bubble because she's only 27. She's so young. Like everything about the way she expresses herself is so young. I have 2 other clips I want to show you. But before we get into that, I want to show you some of the reactions I found on TikTok towards Chappell. We're going to start off with people being upset with her just so you can understand the vibe, right?
On the Chappell Roan situation, because when she said what she on the Chappell, I might delete this later, but I'm going to speak my piece on the Chappell Roan situation, because when she said what she said about motherhood, I was not surprised. I have never heard a single positive word come out of her mouth, whether it has to do with motherhood or her career or her life. I like seriously haven't really heard a single positive.
Okay, wait, that I think is the neurodivergency. When I listen to Chappell, I don't hear negativity. But other people hear her being negative and grumpy. I just hear her being like not wholesome, not like conservative, not like roses and butterflies. She's just like a neurodivergent girly expressing her like dealing with like her reality of dealing with the fact that she exists. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel that negativity. But I think that I'm used to it too. I'm in such like feministy bubbles. I'm in such queer bubbles. I'm in such spaces where it's like, oh my God, eat the babies, love them, but no. Or like, I'm in bubbles where people are like, yeah, I don't want to do that though. Thanks. Like, you know, I'm in very blunt gay bubbles. So I don't, and she's a lesbian. So I think the reason the gays have been laughing at the backlash, calling it the heteros have their problems. And I think that might be a part of it maybe, but I'm not sure.
Positive thing ever. So like what she said when she was talking about how her friends that have kids are in hell, it really struck a chord with me, because I was like, okay, and you are such a negative person, which makes me think that you are also surrounding yourself with negative people. So yeah, that makes sense that she's getting fed information from her mom friends that is negative.
Also, again, mom friends, she's gay. They could be non-binary friends. They could be guy friends. They could be all gendered friends. I just feel like assuming it's mom friends is also like, what is that? I didn't even think about moms. When Chappell said that, no part of my brain went moms. My brain just went parents. Gender neutral silhouette of a human, parents. Obviously, some of them are moms. Some of them are straight. Some of them are gay. But like, why are we doing moms? You know?
Because I don't know a single person who has like an ounce of positivity or like happiness in their heart who could be friends with her, because she is so negative. Like being around.
Do you hear that? Like no one with happiness in their heart could be friends with Chappell Roan because she's so negative. What is this? This feels negative to me. Like this is negativity to me, which is interesting.
Somebody like that must be so draining. So we really cannot get upset about what she said, because she's getting her information from people who are like-minded and people who are just miserable in life. That's the first thing. Second of all, she's like the type of person on the airplane who, like, your kid's crying, you're overwhelmed, you're having a horrible time. She's the type of person that would make you feel bad, like make you feel more overwhelmed.
Now, I think Chappell might be annoyed at a crying kid on an airplane, probably because she has sensitivity issues. I'm telling you, she's autistic. I'm telling you, like, look, I've been that girl on a plane that has offered other mothers, I'm not a mother, but has offered mothers like, do you want me to help you with the baby or anything? And most mothers are like, ew, no, because they don't have a village the way I grew up. Like, I didn't grow up in a world where it would be uncommon for like an older lady to be like, do you want me to rock the baby for you? And other women would trust women to do that. But when I've offered women as of late, they're like, no, which is so fair, right? The world's changing. It's not my bubble. We're on a flight. They don't know who I am. That's so valid. But even when you try to help people, they're like, absolutely not. Not all the time. Sometimes they do accept the help, but I understand why they're cautious as well. We're living in a totally different world than I grew up in. But I think it's, interesting, I think, to also forget that, sometimes your baby screaming is fucking annoying. It should drive you crazy to some extent, in the same way that it could drive anyone crazy. When I was a nanny, most crying didn't drive me crazy. But after a while, the noises can drive you a little crazy because you can't rock the baby. They won't sleep. You're just sitting here like, please go to bed. You act like parenting isn't hard, but also parenting is it's like nobody can pick and choose. Is parenting easy or is parenting hard? It's both. Sometimes it's easier. Sometimes it's harder. But God forbid somebody doesn't want any of the hard parts. They want to choose a different version of hard. This video gets even crazier, by the way. Wait for it, because this is the irony that I will look at people and I will say, we are all crazy. let me wait for it.
Like get mad at you versus like offering to help. So it's not like we would want to be friends with her anyway as mothers, you know what I mean? Like we can't get that upset, but I also feel like it's a good content opportunity. So if you guys want to make your content off of what she said, I get it.
Hold on. Chat says, I do hear negativity from Chappell when she speaks, but negativity doesn't always mean she's wrong or being unfair. I hear like cynicism from her. I hear like political, like I'm in political bubbles. I hear exhaustion from Chappell. I hear annoyance from Chappell. I hear exhausted from Chappell. I hear, I hear definitely like because Chappell isn't like, hi guys, I'm Chapell Roan. See, this coincides with my video from yesterday. You guys watched the pod yesterday about authenticity. People don't want you to be authentic. They want to feel like you're being authentic with them. They want Chapell Roan to come out and be like, hi, I'm Chappell. I'm so happy to be here. I just love babies. And even though my moms and dads are struggling, I just want them to know they're beautiful. And being a parent is so hard. And my job is so much easier than being a parent. And God knows moms just have it so hard. That's what they want. They want Chappell to come out and just be like, you have the hardest job in the world. And like, I'm just like a 27-year-old pop star. It's so easy for me. But like being a mom is truly the hardest job. And it's like, being a mom isn't always the hardest job. It depends on the context and how we're judging it. But parenting is one of the most serious jobs. You want to talk about serious adult job? Parenting. And a lot of y'all aren't qualified under Brittany's standard. Now listen, I don't hold people to my standard of parenting because if I did, you would fail. In the same way that I failed my own standard. That's why I don't become a parent. Because I don't reach my standard of what I think I should do and qualify as to become a parent. And this is about preventative work. If you already have a baby, I love your baby. Your baby's beautiful. If you conceived because of something bad happening, I love your baby. You're beautiful. Like, I am not talking about people who already have children. I'm talking about preventative care. Okay? If you aren't pregnant yet, I do think you should aim to reach a certain standard before bringing a person into existence. And most people aren't going to be able to reach that standard, even if they're wealthy, because money is not only the only part that's a part of the standard. No good being ultra rich if you never see your kid, guys. No good being ultra poor if you have to work 3 jobs to feed your kids, guys. Just no point to becoming a parent if you never see your kid. And that's a standard most people can't afford to have, right? So, you pick your standards, but my standard is specific. So Chappell might be offensive, but I think it's offensive to bring a baby into the world before you're prepared. But, again, we're talking about preventative, people who aren't pregnant yet.
It's going viral, like, make your content. But also it's really funny because I feel like exactly what she needs is a child to like bring that happiness and bring that love in her heart, because she clearly knows nothing of what that feels like. And it's hard to like speak on it if you've never even experienced it. So she doesn't really have room to be talking anyway. But like, I feel like having a kid and having something to live for, because clearly she's like unhappy, that would, like, I don't know, I just pray that she feels the love of having a child one day, because I feel like she could really use it, especially with like the way that she acts and the words that come out of her mouth. Like, I feel like that could just really change her as a person. It changed me as a person. I'm the same age as her and I have a 3-year-old, and like, no love until you have the love of your child. And yes, motherhood is hard. Being a mom is harder than her job for sure, but she just has no idea because she's never experienced it. Anyway, what I'm saying is we can't be mad at her because we would never be friends with somebody that negative anyway. 1, 2, actually having a child would probably be the best thing that ever happened for her. And 3, she needs to grow the fuck up. I might.
That's what I'm saying. These kids all think they're grown-ups. Just because you have a baby doesn't mean you're not a child, girl. Look at, like, I think she's like a kid. Like, I see her and I'm like, oh, look, a baby. Not literally, but kinda. Like, a little bit, right? Like, a little bit. Like, I look at her and I'm like, okay. Like, this is like a kid take, right? Like, you're a kid. You're like, I had a baby at 24. I'm like, okay. And then you spent your time getting on the internet and being mad because somebody had an opinion about their own life in their own friend group. And it's like, okay. What part of that is growing up? I get it, though. We all have to grow up, really. But it was the idea that like being a mom is harder than Chappell's job. First of all, not to compare things, but I don't even know what that means. Okay? I don't even know what that means. And then, yes, she is pushing the narrative that you can't be fulfilled unless you have children, which again plays into the patriarchy and inherent misogyny, honestly, like internalized misogyny to some extent. Like you think women are less than until they fulfill their feminine role. I feel like that is the idea that men uphold through the patriarchy, which is like women aren't fulfilled until they have babies. That's what JD Vance is saying, that women's greatest job is to have a baby. And that's the narrative that's being pushed here, is that you're only valuable as a woman if you have a baby. And by the way, I think the greatest advice can come from people who haven't had children because they were once children. You forget that a lot of us who choose not to make babies do this because we had parents, or in some cases didn't have parents. Like people pretend like you have to have a baby to understand motherhood with peace and love. No, you don't. Sometimes you do. But if you grew up the way I grew up, no, you don't. Like you know enough about motherhood to know it's not for you. That's knowing enough about motherhood. I think people who don't know anything about motherhood have a baby thinking it's going to be perfect and great. You know nothing about having a baby if you just have one without thinking it through. You think it's all fun and games until your kid has cancer, all fun and games until your kid comes out, disabled, all fun and games till your kid comes out, all fun and games until you have no village, all fun and games until you lose your job, all fun and games until, like, look, we all wanted a baby at once, I'm sure, to dress up in cute anime clothes / Disney clothes / all the things that we love and have them watch our favorite 90s movies. But being a parent isn't about building memories with your kid alone. It's about providing them with the care they need. And in this infrastructure, in these systems, in America specifically, it's very hard to do that. Now, secondary video that I saw, just to give you another more alternative perspective, it's not, alternative meaning like aesthetic wise, because that other girl looked more conservative-y. Hold on, let me see. Let's watch this girl have her opinion. Also anti-Chappell, which is fine. That's okay. You can be anti-Chappell, but let's hear her thoughts.
Chappell Roan's personal life do me a favor and please go check. Can someone in Chappell Roan's personal life do me a favor and please go check on this woman? Because every single time without fail, when I see her on my For You page, she is not okay. Hi guys, it's Ariana and welcome back to Kibble for Thought, where I discuss my hot takes while wearing my cat hat. Now don't get me wrong, being famous like that must be super fucking hard. But you're telling me you haven't had one good day, not one good moment, where you could just hop on the internet and be like, oh, I had a good day. I did something fun. No, it's, yeah, everyone that I know that has children, they're just so miserable. Well, girl, have you ever considered you're in your, mid-20s? Have you seen this economy? Of course everyone's miserable. Everyone's fucking poor. Can you imagine adding a child on top of that?
I think that was kind of Chappell's point, though. Like, that's the irony. P.S. Chappell complains the way I complain to my partner. Chappell tonality complains the way I complain to my partner. I think like that's how I relate. Like, I'm not saying she's autistic, but I do mask on stream because if I shared every inner thought I have, people would probably think I was really negative. If I shared how much in pain I am every day, people would be like, I can't watch Brittany's stream. She only talks about how much pain she's in. Yeah, I don't share those things because people don't want your authentic self. They want the version of you that feels authentic to digest. And I get it. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm coming to work. I'm a professional. I'm at work. You don't need to hear about how bad I hurt, right? Like that's okay. But that's also something that we have to internalize. That's why I said my podcast this week, autistic girls, they're not talking to us when they say they want your authentic self. Chronically ill girlies, they're not talking to us when they say they want your authentic self. They only want you to be authentic when it makes them feel good about themselves, which is fine. Okay. But I think it's ironic that that's what Chappell, I think, is trying to say, that ultimately a lot of these parents, they love their kids. They're busy trying to give the whole world to their kids. And it's exhausting. It's exhausting to figure out how to do that, right? Which is so true. She's kind of giving parents their flowers in a way.
Like, girl, no shit. Mothers are miserable. Have you seen children? Have you been around children? Yes. Fork found in the kitchen. Today's modern mother is a little sad. Things are not how they used to be. You can't even be stay at home because no one's making enough money. But at the same time, it's like, is that really something that needs to be blabbered about on a podcast? Like, dude, I promise you, you will be okay. And look, I'm really not trying to start something out of nothing here, but when I fucking tell you every single time, it is just always something. The kids, the election, being famous, having fans. Like, honey, maybe this life wasn't cut out for you. And that's okay, but it's like, no takesies backsies at this point.
Okay, which is like a fair perspective of, you know, it's this whole like you asked for fame thing. This is what you get, which is interesting. We'll talk about that in a second too, because again, everyone's always going to want to compare, but like our lives are not the same, and every life you have, there will be hardships, right? Okay, now hold on. One more video that I thought was kind of interesting. We're just going to watch a part of it.
Find a safe place where you can bitch out loud, where you can complain about how hard motherhood is, how hard it is for you to find the time and find the money and find the patience. Find a safe place. I truly believe that Chappell Roan's friends thought she was a safe place, thought she was a safe place to put it down, to complain about their day, to talk about how hard it is and how hard their kids are, and how they don't have resources or don't have money or there's not enough hours in the day. They thought their friend came home from tour and wanted to hear them. But instead, what she took away was a little bit of judgment, saying, listen, she has every right to say does not look fun from out here. But the same can be said from people who are on tour, because when you work hard and you have a safe place to talk about it, it sounds like bitching. It sounds like being ungrateful for things in which you are grateful for. I know professionals who are on tour, who the minute they step off that tour bus, they talk about how long they've been away and how hard it is and how, you know, their voice hurts so badly and how they're fatigued and how it wasn't worth it. But they're called to do it. Oftentimes what we are called to do is difficult. What we enjoy doing is hard. And we all need a safe place to bitch about it. We all need a safe place.
Okay, so, right, you get the vibe. Interesting branding decision there. But like, okay, I struggle with this as a content creator because sometimes telling my story means telling the people in my life their story. And some of those people might feel like, why are you talking about this on stream? Well, first of all, there are things I obviously don't say on stream because I know it's going too far. But there are some things that I do just say. And, you know, I obviously like move details around to kind of help people's like identities not be so figured out. Or I even swap genders sometimes because I say they a lot. Like I say they a lot. So people feel like I'm not exactly talking about a specific person. Like I'm not trying to actually like share my friend's fucking information with the internet, but also I'm trying to give it a real life example of how my life is impacted by the people in my life. And sometimes it's hard to do that when, you know, you're a public figure. And I think she was just saying from my own lived experience, from what I've observed, it doesn't seem like I'm not being sold the point to doing this. Like I'm not being sold, right? So I think Chappell has a right to give that perspective. Now, if her friends are offended, they need to have that conversation about what Chappell can say while she's being interviewed. And her and Chappell and her friends can discuss if that's valid or not, right? Like maybe it's not valid. Maybe it is. It's not my business. It's between her and her friends. But I will also say that her friends could also be people who are like, yeah, girl, tell them it's stressful, girl, because they might be progressive. So they might be like, parenting is hard. Tell them we're tired. Tell them we're fatigued. Tell them we're poor. Like tell them a bunch of things, right? Like tell them that I'm struggling. They might be more comfortable with it than we think they are. We just don't know. Okay, here's one more video that's a little bit less Chappell hate.
Kids are in hell. I don't know anyone. I actually don't know anyone who's like happy and has children at this age. I literally have not met anyone who's happy, anyone who has like light in their eyes, anyone who has.
Wait, chat says it would be funny in 5 years if she had a kid and everyone will remember this interview, but why would that be funny? The implication of maybe I'm mishearing you, but the implication is like Chappell said that she would not have kids. She said she's 27 and she doesn't want kids right now. It wouldn't be weird if she had kids in 5 years. Do you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't even be weird if she's a lesbian, so she's not going to get pregnant accidentally, right? Like she's literally in a relationship right now. She's not going to get pregnant accidentally, right? But like she said that right now she doesn't want kids. So why would it be weird for her to have kids in 5 years? Do you know what I mean? Chet says it will be funny because everyone is making such a big deal out of it. I don't get that. But okay, let's see.
Who was slept.
Every childless 27-year-old person thinks what Chappell Roan thinks.
I think she spoke a truth. I completely agree.
A lot of women came out and said that. Before you have kids, it's like, I want to know that it's all good.
Yep.
Tell me exactly what it's going to be like. Tell me exactly, am I going to feel happier or less happy than I do now?
defend Chappell here because I totally understand how she got that impression.
You used to say this.
That was
to
the
us
impression
before you
I had.
kids.
I felt it. This sense I had that people who had children weren't happy haunted me my entire pregnancy. Like, it terrified me.
I think one of the things that this whole who's happier thing just points out what a ridiculous question it is to ask. Because are you happy when you have literally had 2 hours sleep because your child is sick and you're overwrought with worry about what might be wrong with them, and you've still got to go to work and pretend you're a functioning human being? No, of course you're not happy, but that's not the point. And it's a much more complicated experience than that.
Exactly. It is. Now, look, I do think we put way too much pressure on people to be parents. And I do think a lot of people become parents because they're coping and escaping from responsibilities. And I do think a lot of people become parents for just the wrong reasons in general. But I also think there are just circumstances in which you do your best, regardless of the circumstance. So an unplanned pregnancy, you don't want to have an abortion, so valid. You have a baby before you've really planned or really put things, in place because it was completely a surprise. And you do your best, right? You rely on your village, you go for resources, you get 2 jobs. Like, I think that human beings are resilient and amazing and fabulous in that way where we figure it out, right? But to relieve you of the pressure of having to figure it out, you can prepare. But this is kind of like me telling teenagers not to have sex unprotected. It's like, you're not going to listen to me because you're going to think you're the exception and you're going to think it's not going to happen to you because that's how humans think. We all think it's not going to happen to us, right? And then people call Brittany me paranoid because we use multiple forms of birth control and I pee in a stick. You know what I mean? It's like, you might be willing to be chill with it. And I was in my 20s. In my 20s, I was a lot more relaxed about getting pregnant. Even though I always had a form of birth control, I didn't always utilize it in the most safe way until I got a little older, right? So then I got sex at 22. So for the first time with a man. So when I had that sex, I had completely unprotected sex. Then I had a plan B and I took an, STI test and I kind of figured it out and I got better at getting safer. By the time I got to my mid-20s, I was on an IUD, I knew what condoms were, and I was in a very consent-based community. So I got smart pretty quick in terms of my sexual active years, but I also met a lot of people that just weren't interested in that. I met so many people that were offended that I even wanted STI testing or wanted to go over birth control methods or wanted to do XYZ. So everyone is different. But I think we're so acting like everyone has the same access. And plus, a lot of your bodies might not react well to birth control. For me, I'd rather have birth control that makes my body feel like shit than a baby that I have to abort or a baby I have to raise. But for a lot of people, they can't take the birth control and they're allergic to latex. So they have to buy special condoms. And there's so many layers of inconvenience that your monkey brain might want to bypass just to have sex. I've been there. I don't know about you, but I've had my monkey brain be like, who needs to have safe sex? Right? And I've been there. I've been that person. And there were definitely consequences. But I also know that at the end of the day, as long as you know that they're there and you can handle them, I think you can. It's kind of like we talk to people differently too. If I'm going to talk to somebody who isn't pregnant yet, I'm going to talk to them differently than somebody who got pregnant and now we have to deal with it. Okay. Same with getting an STI. If you don't have an STI right now, I might push how imperative it is not to get an STI. And then after you have it, I might be like, it's no big deal, girl. It's just an STI. Let's get some medication. I think sometimes we have to meet people where they're at. So these are 2 different groups of people. Talking to moms who are stressed and tired and dads who are stressed and tired and parents who are stressed and tired are different than talking to parents who, one, won't even acknowledge they're stressed and tired because they're worried about people thinking they're bad at being parents, or 2, parents who are not that stressed and tired because they have nannies and resources and villages and mother-in-laws and all the other help they could need, right? So these are different kinds of people all hearing the same message and they're all going to react differently. Which is the hardest part of being a communicator because you don't know who's listening to you. You don't know who's hearing you. You don't know how they're going to take it. This is why communication will never be perfect, right? Now, there's one more content creator I found. Do you guys know Jessica Kilgren or Forzard? I don't know how to say her name. She's the redhead who I think is blind legally and she's married to a woman and they have a kid and they're pregnant again. I found this video, came up on my timeline today. And this section is so perfectly sums up what is so stressful about what you could be going through as a mother that people don't talk about. So I just want to show you this, because this, I was dying for her. My heart was dying for this woman, for her situation, right? Just listen to this woman. And remember that Chappell's not coming for you. Chappell might have a friend like this in her life, though. And this is so many people's stories that you don't even realize, right?
Hi, I'm Jessica. It's my wife Claudia who's currently pregnant, and she was also pregnant the first time round with our son Rupert, who's now 3 3/4, almost 4. And the pregnancy, that time it felt so much easier. Yes, we had to do IVF to make him happen. He was our first round of IVF, the first transfer, there he was. And even though we'd done sort of various IUIs before and whatnot, it did feel like, oh, of course, well, yes, this was sort of, in a way, not easy, but like it was just meant to be. Ah, lovely. And the pregnancy itself was pretty smooth. It was in lockdown, which made it, some parts of it nicer, because we were in a little bubble. It was just us in our home. It was nice, in a way. This time it was harder to get pregnant, and we experienced loss along the way, and then when we finally did get pregnant and we did get that positive pregnancy test, it felt amazing and it felt wonderful and it felt like, oh, finally. But there's still at the back of your mind that little doubt because of what you've been through so far. Then we went to our first scan and it's triplets. Suddenly there aren't the...
Triplets, for those who didn't hear. Triplets. So remember, you think you're about to be a mom of 2 and you're gonna be a mom of 4, right? Is that the math? Mom of 4 versus a mom of 2. That's a very big deal, right?
Congratulations anymore. Suddenly there isn't this. It's almost like it's a secret. Like it's a and all anyone talks about are the risks and all the bad things that are going to happen, and how your babies are probably going to have this condition. They'll develop this in the womb, and they'll be born very prematurely, and they'll therefore have this and this, and it will affect them in this way lifelong, and you'll probably lose the pregnancy anyway. And it's just so crushing. But also, we felt so alone and so scared because we don't have a lot of family support. Claudia's mother passed away when she was in her early 20s, and her father is almost 80. God, I think he's 80. Yeah, he's 80 soon. Like, he's not the most, not going to pick up a toddler. And we don't have that like, quick, call the grandparents, they can come and help. And we have friends who are great, but they have their own young children, and it's hard to not feel jealous sometimes when you see the support that they have from their families, but that doesn't. I still thought. Sorry. Oh, I'm gonna get a tissue. It's actually toilet paper. Just to show the level of how well we are not doing right now.
Okay. That's really what I wanted you to understand, is like, for some people, pregnancy isn't this beautiful, smooth thing. It is terrifying and isolating and lonely. Now listen to me. I personally think raising a child is like a beautiful thing. I think caretaking for people is beautiful. I think, I don't think somebody in chat said being a parent is just like, what did you say? Hold on. I read it and I was like, I don't have let me see. Hold on. I don't know where it is, but somebody was saying like, oh, having a baby is just like cleaning up like fluids and stuff. That's not what being a parent is. Okay? Like, being a parent isn't cleaning up baby fluids. Being a parent isn't raising a parasite. Being a parent isn't any of those things. At the core of it, being a parent, a good parent, a parent who recognizes the importance of what you're about to take on, it's not the gross stuff. It's the honor of guiding somebody through existence. Yeah, chat said, she said, joyless burden. Yeah, so like, if that's the person who shouldn't have a kid, which is so valid. If you think kids are gross, if you think kids are bad, if you think there's no good part to being a parent, like, you shouldn't be one, for sure, right? Good for you to know that. I don't think you're a bad person for thinking that. But just so you know, for parents that are actually meant to be parents, like, okay, my mom had 10 kids. She birthed 10 kids. 8, no epidural. 2, epidural. 8, no epidural. My mom had 10 births. Okay, I saw her give birth to my little brother too. Okay, my mom, had 10 children. I never doubted once in my life that my parents wanted to be parents. I remember one time, multiple times really, but one distinct time, I remember all of us had the flu. I don't remember what we had, but we were all vomiting all day. So there's like 8 kids at home because the 2 older ones are gone. There's 8 children at home and all of us are vomiting all over my mom's carpets. Just like we would stand up and just be like, oh my God. And we were homeschooled at the time. So all of us are together in this house and my mom never complained once, never made us feel bad, never complained. She just wrapped us in PJs, put us on the couch with a blanket and gave us bags from Ralph's, like little grocery bags, you know, from the grocery store. And she's like, you puke in this, yes? And we were like, okay. And then she'd put on Disney and that would be our life. And I just have a very distinct memory of never thinking my mother hated us. And I am so grateful for that. I've never felt like my mother didn't want to be a mother or my father didn't want to be a father. I always felt like my parents really liked being parents. They weren't perfect parents and they failed in a lot of ways. But in one way that they didn't fail is in this way, that they never made us feel like a burden. And, you know, if something's going to be called a burden, I always call it my favorite burden. Like Indiana Jones is my favorite burden, but she doesn't really feel like a burden, right? Like, I don't think, you know, when you have unconditional love, people are a burden. Like, I don't think the people that I unconditionally love are burdens. But if you're going to call them a burden, then they're my favorite one. You know, like, I just think they're people. And, you know, I shared this little cartoon to the Discord the other day. Yesterday, it was like a little picture of Snoopy. Hold on. I wonder if I can find it. I should be able to find it. Hold on. Let me bring it on screen because it's just like, I think it's pretty important. Hold on. I wasn't planning on doing this, but now I'm going to do it. It's a Snoopy, and it says, no revenge, because everyone I ever gave love to needed it. Everyone I ever gave love to needed it. And I think that's the point of doing things for the right reason, is that it's not about you're ungrateful. Think of everything I did for you. It's about acknowledging that everything I did was for the right reason. It really was helpful. It's always helpful to recontextualize bad relationships in that way, because you think, why did I do that? Because you saw somebody in need and you wanted to love somebody. And I think sometimes we internalize feeling like a burden because we grew up with bad parents. We grew up with parents who probably weren't meant to be parents. We grew up with people in our life who made us feel like a burden because they weren't meant to have us. Your job as a parent is to make sure your kids don't feel like a burden. And I think most people fail in that regard, even if they don't mean to, right? I mean, my parents certainly failed in some regard in relation to that, right? I have borderline, obviously. Like, they obviously made me feel as a queer kid that I was a burden to them, whether they knew it or not, because the way you talk around your kids internalize that. My earliest memory is 3 years old. So I'm going to internalize all of this. I'm going to hear it. I'm going to understand it. I'm going to be able to process as a kid, like, oh, like my parents are homophobic, or my parents are XYZ, or like, oh, this thing is happening, right? So again, when we have these conversations about parenting and what it means to be a parent, first of all, it's so cultural and global, and it's different everywhere. But ultimately, and I've said this time and time again, I'm never burdened by the fact that my friends have kids, which, by the way, FYI, my friends do not have kids. I should just say that my siblings have kids, but like my friends do not have kids. I don't have friends that have kids. I know that might sound weird, but like my friends are progressive. A lot of us don't have kids. And the only person in my life who really has children that I interact with are my siblings. Like my brother has kids. He has 5 kids. And by the way, my niece goes, who are you again? And I said, excuse me? This is why you have to call your nieces and nephews, because they will forget who you are. The one part of living overseas that sucks. They forget you. You got to call all the time and get it in their little noggin that you know who you are. It's okay. The older kids know who I am. I had aunties and uncles like that. I didn't know all my aunties and uncles like as closely as others because I didn't see them as often. But my little niece, bro, she was like, who are you? I was like, man, kids really hurt your feelings, bro. I was like, that hurts my feelings. And she was like, well, I don't remember. And I was like, you don't remember my name? And she was like, and I was like, damn, kids really be out here making adults cry. You know what I'm saying? There is something beautiful about children. But if you don't see it, don't be around them. You know, if you don't get how cool it is to like see a human being grow into a person, you know, like don't be around them. But most people will have children they're not like ready to take care of, right? Okay, now the thing about Chappell that I think is interesting is that Chappell is, in my opinion, a neurodivergent queen. Obviously, she's bipolar, but even more than that, I really think she's autistic, genuinely. But that's my opinion, and it doesn't matter. I'm not a doctor. I'm not her therapist. But listen to the way she talks about her life in this next clip. So there's 2 more clips of Chappell I want to show you from this podcast. Here we go. Watch this with me.
That's hilarious though. Like, do you ever get moments like that of anonymity where you get to like feel like people actually don't know who you are anymore? Do you ever like dress up, disguise?
I think people are scared of me.
Really?
I think I made a big enough deal about not talking to me that people do not talk to me. That's, I think, the truth of it all. And I've been with people like friends who are like artists, and they're like, when they're with me, they're like, it's a force field.
Okay, hold on. So this is referencing the fact that Chappell told people like, please don't come up to me. Don't talk to me like that. Like, treat me with dignity. Give me space, which very not media trained of her, very like neurodivergent of her to be like, leave me alone. Like, she's obviously not the vapid celebrity who's like, yes, I go in public so people do recognize me. She's somewhere in the middle, right? Because obviously at some point you do also just have to be good to your fans. Chad says, do you think on a slightly more macro level, progressives should have more kids for future generations? No one should have kids for society. No one should have kids for their family. No one should have kids for the government. Nobody should have kids for any other reason than they want to have kids and it will fulfill their joy. Yes, conservatives will give birth to lots of children. Hopefully half of them will be progressive, like I was. Okay. But ultimately, no one should be having kids for any other reason than they want to, and it's going to fulfill their joy. They shouldn't do it for the population. They shouldn't do it. Think about what we're saying. Having a baby is no joke. Go watch people have babies. Go watch human beings have a child and be like, do you think we should do this? Look, if you want to have a baby, you're probably going to have a baby. Okay. If you are responsible, you might want a baby and choose not to have a baby, which I appreciate. Okay. But at the end of the day, very wealthy families don't have very many kids, and only really crazy people who have really bad ideas of parenting are pushing out 13 fucking kids. Okay. Like, most affluent, educated people don't have a lot of kids. So I'm not worried about people. I'm worried about those kids being raised in those bubbles. That's what I'm worried about. You want to take care of the kids? Don't be bringing them into the universe just because we needed more bodies, you know?
Around us. People don't come up to me if I'm with you. And I think I'm just like, damn, baby, you say it too. You say, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. I don't know who you are. And they won't come up to bother you.
What a concept. That is fucking hilarious, though, that other celebrities are like, bitch, look at what you did.
It's a force field. And I'm not just by one person, by like three or four.
Do you love it that you said it?
Listen to how Chappell talks. Listen to the cantor, and then listen to or note that call her daddy doesn't interrupt. Like, Chappell will take so long to think, and she doesn't get interrupted. Like, look at her mannerisms, look at her body. Like, this girl is not like other, well, I don't want to say like other girls, but you know what I mean? She's not neurotypical. I mean, bipolar makes you not neurotypical in general, but she's having a different relationship with everything, and everyone keeps wanting her to have a typical relationship. Like, it's like they want her to be Ariana or something, or they want her to be like Demi Lovato or something. I don't know what they want. They want her to be someone she's not, which is why I say they don't want you to be authentic. They want you to feel like you're being authentic.
It hurts that I have to.
Yeah.
It hurts. I know it really hurts people because they take it really, they feel like it's me disrespecting them, that I owe it to them, and that how dare I call it abuse. And it's like, or complaining about success. I get that a lot. But I'm not complaining about success. I'm just complaining about creepy behavior. I love like admiration. Everyone loves admiration. Like, I just don't want you to like interrupt me at like when I'm having a fight with my girlfriend. Like, don't fucking be like, can I get a photo when I'm crying talking to my girlfriend? That's fucking crazy.
You're like, I'm actually in the middle of
And just for the record, this is not uncommon. Eminem has a whole song dedicated to people fucking off when he's with his kids. Eminem literally has a whole music video where it shows him hanging out with Haley, and then people try to get pictures and he's like, I'm hanging out with my kid. And like, that's the whole point. Is like, this is when a celebrity becomes famous who kind of grew up like an Eminem or a Chappell, it's different. They're not LA kids. Like, they're not from LA. They're not like rich kids. They're kids who came from like middle America, or, you know what I mean? They didn't come from a world where they thought they were going to be celebrities as much as they might have been the best in their field. It's different. It's a different vibe. So like, people get mad about that, but I think that's why I say, again, they don't want your authenticity. They want to feel like you're being authentic. And that's what made Eminem so popular. He felt real. He was saying the inside thoughts out loud, right? Chappell feels that way for a lot of people. Chat says she is so autistic, saying the inside thoughts out loud. That's what I'm saying. Chappell has a very autistic demeanor.
Breaking up with someone or getting cheated on.
And that's also why people hate her. I am seeing it more and more now that I'm diagnosed. I have been seeing it more and more, the way people hate autistic people. And I'm autistic women with mine and Chappell's spectrum personality. They love adorable autistic girls. Oh my God. Cute girls. They love cute girls. They love like anime girls. They like, the internet loves those girls. When you're like not an anime girl, when you're like aggressive and very like strong with your beliefs, they don't like that. Also, I don't think people understand that the pressure you can feel. We're going to talk about the activism too. The pressure you can feel as an autistic person to feel pressured talking about certain things when you're not ready can trigger PDA in a way that I don't think people understand, even when you're an activist, because it takes you time to process. And so I think that also plays a role in how people are not understanding the nuance of it. But at the same time, let's call Chappell out. I'm going to call her out for her political stance in a minute, but let's keep watching this just to get to know Chappell.
Right now, spare me.
Yeah.
Take a picture all the way across there of the back of my head and post it.
You know, and it's like, of course it's going to take a second for people to like really look at themselves. And like, I have to have grace for that. Like, how would I know any better if I already see Hannah Montana? I would have to tell her that I love her music so much and that like she means a lot to me. But in reality, it's like, no, I don't. Because that's not Hannah right there. That's not Hannah. That's Destiny. Hope. Cyrus. Anyway, sorry.
I fucking love you. Okay, you wrote your song Pink Pony Club.
Okay.
About...
Pause. Now, let's skip over. This next section is going to go over the politics stuff. Again, we're learning who Chappell is. We're learning her vibes. We're hearing her out. We're digesting her as a whole person. And listen to the way she has this conversation. So this part pissed off the leftists or the progressives or the liberals or the activists. I'm not sure who. Peace and love. I saw a lot of TikToks about it, but I want us to talk about it because something that people don't understand, when I say I'm not political anymore, like I'm not an activist, what I'm saying is I'm not a particular person that I used to be. I'm not saying, look, by being queer, you're an activist, right? Everyone thinks just talking about your gayness makes you political, right? Because our identities are politicized. You know, they say this with Black women feel the same way. Like they have to show up and be a representation of Black women because now it's political just being them, just existing, right? But then the reason I say I'm not into activism anymore is because I'm not going and getting signatures. I'm not doing fundraising. I'm not cleaning up streets anymore. I'm not protesting the way I used to. I'm not doing those things. And even if you do a protest, it doesn't mean you're what Brittany used to be. This is me being autistic, but I'm literally trying to explain to the internet that you can't rely on me to be a person who's just talking about politics. Because as a content creator, that's not what I want to do. Even if as a person, we listen to our NPR every morning, we watch the news, we vote, we figure out what to do in elections, we participate in boycotts here in Croatia. We just participated in a grocery boycott where the prices were getting too high for people here. So we boycotted the grocery stores and didn't shop and didn't eat at certain places for a few weeks, right? We participate in things, but that's just being a good citizen. That's just being a good citizen. That is not being in politics. To me, being in politics is very different. To me, being involved in politics means like, you know, you're Bernie Sanders, you're AOC, you're Hassan, you're like in it. You're in it, right? Okay. So for me, I feel like it's different, but I want to say, of course, I pay attention to politics. Of course, I'm involved. Of course, I vote. It's just like, I consider them different. Now, Chappell Roan obviously made a lot of her brand political, and we love that. And I think she either signed up for something she wasn't prepared for, or she's like in a little bit of autistic burnout. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying, here's my theory, where she doesn't want to feel pressure to do something because people are demanding it of her, which is very neurodivergent. Like nobody likes to be demanded on. I don't like it either, by the way. I hate it. I'm going to tell you this right now. My brain will reject you. My brain hates it when people say, you have to care about my cause because I care about it. I hate it. It makes I'm having a biological experience. When it happens, my whole body rejects it. And I have to introspect and remind myself that like, hey, Brittany, they're coming to you because they think you might care. But I know it's going to take you like a while to calm down and realize like they're not forcing you to do something. They are not like gonna hurt you if you don't do this. Like it's just a matter of they're coming to you because they think you'd be a great advocate, which is so beautiful, but you need to like take your time and come to it on your own terms. And this is something that people will never understand. So I'm just gonna explain it to my audience because I think you'll get it. But I think that happened with Chappell possibly, but I also think she needs to reorganize her brand a little bit then, because she did come out and make a big stink over politics. And so for her to not understand why people are now turning to her is a part of the problem. But also we need to stop relying on 27-year-old pop stars for our political takes. So that's the other thing that people aren't understanding. I don't watch political streamers and consider them more knowledgeable than anyone else. I just consider them more knowledgeable in like a particular way. Not like literally though. Like I think people give them too much credit and pedestal them way too much. I do. I think people pedestal Chappell way too much. And look, I'm in my mid-30s. I don't have to do it anymore. But that's my little cautionary tale to this whole segment we're about to watch. It's like a 10-minute segment. Be careful who you rely on for your validation. Because at the end of the day, it's just a person. And they can't always meet you where you're at, right?
How has your relationship to your sexuality evolved over the years?
Obviously, I've come into being more comfortable with saying I'm queer, with dating women.
The reason I didn't know this, because I don't know much about Chappell, she dated guys before. She thought she was bisexual, pansexual, something. Now she's realizing she's a lesbian. Fabulous. We love it. So she's had a journey that's specific and different.
But I don't know, something like fucked up my sexuality. I think like my nervous system is so fried that I can't even feel like flirtatious. Like it's just too intense to even like be sexual at all.
Keep in mind, she is currently in a relationship. It's pretty serious and they are in love.
It's just too sensitive, you know?
Do you want to be, or you're not feeling like you're missing anything?
No, I do. I want to be because I think that like that was a part of myself.
I'm sorry, I pre-watched this, so the host doesn't know yet that she's in a relationship because Chappell doesn't bring it up at all. Until the host like has a moment with her, she's like, wait, are you in a relationship? Chappell's like, and she's like, oh my God, Chappell, are you literally in a relationship? So keep in mind the way they're having this conversation is like the host doesn't know and Chappell isn't volunteering it, which is like very interesting.
That was fun. And like, I feel like that part of me exists on stage, but off stage it's like it's this kind of.
And by the way, my theory on pop stars being reliable sources of political advocacy is every person. Look, I'm not. We should rely on celebrities the way you would rely on your neighbors. And then understand that if you as a consumer don't want to support a content creator or a singer because they're political takes, that's also valid, right? Like I don't watch Gaga. I don't support Gaga. The fact that Gaga recently went on Howard Stern, I know that everyone's boycotting Gaga because of her Israel takes in 2014. I feel like the reason to boycott Gaga is she continues to uphold the patriarchy. And I'm annoyed with her. But also, I love that she advocates for LGBTQIA people because I think that's so important. But I also just want to say, like, her game she's playing with the music industry, and no matter how popular she is, continuing to uphold the patriarchy is exhausting to me. Going on Howard Stern in 2025, the year of our Lord, FKA Twigs, is a ridiculous slap to women. What a ridiculous thing to do. You have a perfect place of privilege and you choose to go on the most misogynistic man's podcast or radio show or whatever Howard Stern's calling it now. Ridiculous. What a ridiculous use of your privilege, right? I don't think you're wrong for boycotting Chappell if she's not the celebrity you want. I don't think you're wrong for not watching me because I might not talk about the issues that are important to you. That's so valid. I just want to make that abundantly clear. But in no way do I ever look at celebrities as knowledgeable about things that people dedicate their whole life to knowing about. There are people in political bubbles who dedicate their whole life to politics and advocacy and volunteer work and all of these stuff. Like, these people are the people you want to pay attention to, but the celebrities are the ones we pay attention to because we, like everybody else, we fall for the shiny. We fall for the shiny. The irony is not lost on me that we fall for the shiny while saying that we're not falling for the shiny.
I kind of reverted back to a very shameful part of myself and how I relate to sex, just because it's like when there's so much of you in the world that is exposed, then like being sexual with someone is so vulnerable because the rest of your life is so vulnerable that it's like it almost is too. I want to save something, like I just don't want to be that vulnerable with so many fucking people.
Do you ever though, like,
so that tells me that Chappell is still struggling with boundaries and figuring out how to be a celebrity and figuring out how to, like, even her sex life is being impacted. Her own relationship with sexuality is being impacted. Like, this is a girl who's 27 and figuring out fame. And I tell myself all the time, I am so grateful I never got famous at 27. Let me say this with my full chest. I am so fucking grateful I never got famous at 27. Oh my God. When I say I do not desire fame, I do not desire it because I know I would be similar to Chapell Roan in a sense. I don't see any perk of being famous except money. That's it. Money that allows you to like pay your bills. Great. But you can get that without fame, right? So like, what's the real perk of fame? Like, to me, nothing, basically nothing. But that's the thing, is like for some people, that's all they want. So they can't imagine Chappell not wanting it or it being a consequence of Chappell being an artist. Sometimes the consequence of wanting to be an artist is you have to get famous enough to support yourself, which is why we're trying to build this community. So share videos, share my content with your friends, like the stream, guys, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be famous, but you got to get a little bit bigger to be an independent artist at the end of the day. And that's what content creators are. That's what musicians are. At the end of the day, she is a content creator. She's an artist. And it's a luxury to do this. It is a luxury to do this because it's not easy. You have to get out there, whether you like it or not. But that's why you have to talk to your therapist. That's why you talk to your friends. That's why you don't complain to your audience. You talk to somebody else. Again, they don't want you to be authentic. They want you to feel like you're authentic.
Resent the Chappell Roan moments because then you're saying you're feeling it on stage, you're like enjoying yourself, you're feeling sexual, then you're going home as Kaylee and being like, I just don't want to enjoy that. Like, are you ever like, fuck, am I sacrificing my real moments of being able to find myself and embrace my sexuality for people and my art?
I resent myself I resent the job. Because I can no longer yes, sexuality has like it's just different now, and like, but I resent not being able to like be a friendly neighbor because
This is so important. The biggest part creatives have to face is that you will turn this thing into a job. It is a job. I'm telling you this right now. People don't understand, because when you're really a creative, and this is different than other YouTubers and other artists, not all artists are creative. Creatives are people that are giving a part of themselves to the work. So they feel like turning it into a job will kill that part of themselves. Other people are just becoming content creators or artists to make money. They do not, no part of themselves is in the work. They're clocking in and clocking out the same way you would do at a 9 to 5, right?
I can't like go out and meet my neighbors and be like, hi, I'm Kaylee. I live here. This is what my car looks like. This is what time I'm home and when I'm not, you know? So then people all of a sudden know exactly. It's just a recipe for a stalker situation. So I resent that part of my career path. There's just so much you don't know that you're signing up for. You don't know that you're signing up, that your body changes.
Yeah.
It is like going through puberty. And that's what I was told. I didn't really know if that was true, but the pop girls were like, it feels like a second puberty.
I do think like what I appreciate about you saying that though is like, I feel like it's important to recognize that your passion for art, the goal is for people to enjoy it because you love it. You want people to connect to it. You want people to experience it. Like that obviously comes then with the fame aspect. And then fame is the thing that I think people get so frustrated by you saying that. But it's like, no, like you love your art. That's not what you're saying you don't love. You're saying you don't love the thing that comes with that. And I think, but the beautiful thing is the art. Like, what do you think Chappell Roan would mean to young Kaylee?
I don't even know if my younger self would be able to register that is a part of me. Like that's how removed I
feel like this is the negativity people are saying. Like Chappell Roan's always so negative. Chappell Roan is just trying to tell you like it's not all it's chalked up to be, which the girls will talk about in a second. But I think that that's what we're trying to say. That's why I do dislike when content creators say that content creation is easy, because you're setting people up for failure. And then people are going to wonder, like, if it's so easy, why aren't I taking off? If it's so easy, why can't I pay my bills? If it's so easy, then why isn't it working for me? And that's why I hate it. I hate when people set people up for failure. Like, you're not being honest with people. But the problem is the audience doesn't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that being a celebrity is hard. They don't want to hear that being rich and famous is hard. They don't want to hear that being a content creator is hard. They don't want to hear it. Just like your teenagers don't want to hear that having unsafe sex is a bad idea. They don't want to hear it from you. So you can't save people from their own misery. Like, you have to let them be miserable so they learn it. And at the end of the day, like, it's hard to believe that it could be so miserable. But when you're there, you're like, oh, no wonder celebrities go crazy. Like, no wonder famous people go crazy. Like, no wonder people are depressed or end up on drugs. Like, no wonder, right? You know? Chat says, facts, Roan plays victim. Yes, being famous has downsides, but do not whine about it in public for real. I don't care that she whines about it in public. I think it's a good PSA. I think it's fucked up that humans aren't ready to hear it. I think it's a testament to those people not being introspective. I want to hear people say being content creator is hard. I want to hear people be honest and say being a celebrity is hard. I want people to say it's hard in a way that's specific to the industry. Because at the end of the day, like I think it's why corruption gets downplayed, because we think like, well, you're famous, so what does it matter? Like, you did this, so what does it matter, right? I think, again, I know it upsets people. And I know no matter how you say it, it's going to upset people because they don't want to hear. Just like with parenting, they don't want to hear that it's hard. They don't want to hear you complain about being a parent because you chose to have kids. They don't want to hear that being a parent seems like it's horrible. You seem miserable because they feel like, why are you coming for me? Nobody wants to hear that the thing they chose to do sucks in any way, or the thing they dream about being sucks in any way. They don't want to hear. And I don't blame you for not wanting to hear it, but that's on you, girl. That's not on the truth of the matter. That's on you. Okay, that's on you. That's not on the fact that it's just true, that it's like you're signing up for something you don't understand. But if you'd like to understand it, there are ways to understand it by hearing the people who have gone through it talk about it. But sure, it will be hard to believe that fame and money could be the worst thing that ever happened to you. Because for a lot of people, they think it will be the best thing that ever happened to them. You know?
So like opposite of me now. Like it just wasn't awoken. It's like awakened in me, you know, like
True. Chat said because fame is escapism for the public. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Young Kaylee just felt so restricted because I
actually, hold on. Let's do a little tangent here because I actually wanted to do this with you based off of yesterday's video and in relation to Chappell Roan. Okay. How many of us would be willing to be famous if it came with $1 million salary for the rest of our life? How many of us would be willing to deal with daily stalkers and having to have security around us on the daily basis if it came with $1 million a year salary after tax? Okay. How many of us would be willing to undergo rhinoplasty, breast augmentation, facelift, if it would guarantee us like an extra $100,000 a year just for getting surgeries done? How many of us would be willing to do things if we could guarantee the success? That the issue with celebrity, the issue with plastic surgery, the issue with fame is it's not guaranteed. How many of us went to college just because we thought it would guarantee us a job? And then when it stopped guaranteeing us a job, did we have to put into question all of the dreams they sold us about going to college? Again, they are selling you a dream. Okay. But to me, when I see it, I think, I don't know if I'm buying into this dream that I'm being sold. But that's what it is. Now, if you could guarantee you go to college and you'll get a job, it might be worth it, right? Because college for certain industries, obviously the way to go, right? Okay. But again, when you're having these conversations, people aren't realistic with how things work, right? Look, people are very good, because we're animals on a planet, at convincing themselves they understand people and that they're listening well. But we're listening poorly and we do not understand. I don't think people understand as well as they think they do, myself included, right?
I was a problem child and so angry and so like...
So autistic coded, listen to this.
I was a problem child and so angry and so like depressed and just felt like no one understood me. And now that part of me is so alive. And I always did want to like dress up and be super girly or be really like tomboy, or I just wanted to be free. But I did never think that it would actually happen. And now that it has, it's like, I don't think she would believe it at all. I don't think she could ever believe that like this is what I do.
But doesn't that make you now happy?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like, that part is awesome that I really honored my inner child to the max. I think now what it is like, how do I honor my adult self to the max? It's like, I don't know, because this is all new and but there's no rule, but there's like every artist, every pop girl, the next move is like a question mark.
Yeah.
Because some girls put out the first album, had an incredible first album, won a bunch of shit, then take 5 years off. Some girls go right into it, and then they end up releasing something they hate, and then they release another album that they love. Like, they never stop. Some just tour for... There is no game plan of like, how do I make sure I make the right decision?
This, very neurodivergent coded for me, because there is no script I'm given. My life doesn't have a script. I'm sure a lot of your lives don't have a script, but there used to be an alleged American dream script. Graduate high school, go to college, get a job, have kids, buy a house, dog, cat, bam. None of us are following those scripts anymore. Now we're making up our own script. And when you can make up your own script, a lot of things become a lot more intimidating in ways that you can't predict. Because now we're all kind of like it's all free for all. And she's right. Like, how does she know the best decision? I watch a lot of Zoe Unlimited and, marketing bestie, Zoe Unlimited. And Zoe is always talking about how, like, there are wrong moves that brand girls make. Like, famous people, you think, oh, they're always guaranteed to be popular. It's all about branding and marketing. Just because you're famous doesn't mean you stay famous. How many famous people couldn't make it a career and ended up becoming homeless? So many more than you would think, actually. That's the illusion too, is once you're famous, you've made it. The illusion of you've made it is insane. I cannot tell you what the biggest lie of human history is. You've made it. I don't believe in it. I don't believe it's a real thing. The whole you've made it, so you're always guaranteed work, you're always guaranteed, not true. Not a thing. Not reality. And that is the hardest part of people, because that's what you're all waiting for, right? I'll just stress, I'll just work, I'll hustle now, but eventually it'll be worth it because I'll make it. You're never going to make it. You're never going to make it. It's not a thing that happens. And the same way that once you introspect, there's an end to introspection. It never ends. And that's why you radically accept that it was never about ending. It was never about finally getting somewhere. It was simply about accepting that you never get anywhere. You simply keep going. And that's the truth of it. And that's the hardest pill to swallow, is like, there is no making it. There's just people who keep going and people who stop. And that's pretty stressful. So make sure you keep going in a way that fits your joy.
That's so fucking relatable. And obviously the things you're dealing with, there are elements that certain people will never understand, just like we may never understand certain parts of each other, just like people watching this are like, you guys would never understand what I'm going through. But I do think it's relatable to say, and I don't think that you should be criticized for acknowledging that there is an element to your life that is very confusing right now. And it is okay to be so grateful and also be so fucking confused and angry in moments, because that's life. And I think that when someone's sitting in this chair like Chappell Roan, you're supposed to, in people's mind, have the...
And here's the question, because, chat's talking about, does she have money? Is she whatever? Does she have money? Like, now that she has money, and I'm not even assuming how much it is, it might not be anything, right? A lot of people don't have the money you think they do, right? Because they have to pay out agents and marketers, and everyone has to get paid out, right? Does she owe the friends that money? Does she owe her friends money? I would say no. I would say if any of my friends felt entitled to my money, they're not my friends. You know what I'm saying? And I say this as somebody who has like wealthy people in the family. I say this as somebody who's like sibling is most likely going to inherit a lot of money from a family friend. Like, I'm not entitled to that money. If they want to give you money, great, but I'm not entitled to it. I would never think I was entitled to it. But how many people would assume that Chappell Roan now has to take care of her friends, these struggling parents she's talking about, because she has money? Right? I don't think so, girl. I don't think so. But I'm sure a lot of people think that.
Answers. Be grateful, smile, tell us this is the coolest fucking thing that's ever happened, because all of us want to be famous. But then it's like, at what point are we going to start to realize that so many people that do end up in the spotlight are yelling like, this is not all that it's cracked up to be. This shit is hard. We're not asking for you to like feel so fucking bad for us, but a little bit of empathy goes a long way with human beings. I think that's...
But it's hard because nobody wants to hear you talk about it except people that are interested in it. I'm actually interested in it, so I do want to hear the good and the bad. See, most people aren't interested in being famous. They want to dream that it just happens, like a K-pop drama. I'm a girl at a supermarket and a hot guy walks in and he's actually the son of a billionaire and he's actually going to take me away and I'm going to be a princess. Nobody actually wants to work to be that thing. They just want it to happen to them. Chad says, do you think there is a making it in the sense of achieving a goal, but then things going towards a new goal instead of stagnating ideally? Ideally, totally, that we would make it and keep going on to the next thing. But what people hear when they hear I've made it is now I don't have to work as hard. Oh, I finally made it. I can relax. I finally made it. My life's going to feel like I'm on vacation now. No. No. And then people are disappointed and then they feel like, oh my God, I got the thing I always wanted and I'm still not happy. What happened? Because it was never about getting the thing. It was accepting that you were on the journey to continue a life of meaning. It was never about accomplishing goals. It was about living a life where those goals are more like markers on a timeline, not the end all be all. We really sell people a false dream and people want it. They do want that dream. They would rather you give them that dream than be honest with how exhausting parts of this can be. You can say there's privilege in being famous and rich. Absolutely. You can also say there are disadvantages to being rich and famous. Everything has an advantage and disadvantage.
Chill to say.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and who gives a fuck if at one point they don't understand it? Like, I really like that you are being honest about it rather than smiling and be like, I fucking love my job, Alex.
Yeah.
Everything's good. Like,
Yeah.
you're not robotic.
I think it's also people expect me to play by different rules because I'm
Exactly. Chat says this is like when Hasanabi tried to say that streaming was a hard job and was crucified. Exactly who I was thinking of. I was thinking about that situation where, yes, streaming is easier than a lot of people's jobs. Hassan could definitely take a vacation, though depending on his goals, it would really fuck up his trajectory if he took a vacation. But also, he's allowed to say that he's socially exhausted after streaming and doesn't want to keep socializing. Like, he's allowed to say these things. It's just some people don't want to hear it, but I do want to hear it because I feel like I'm going crazy because I'm sitting here as a content creator thinking, holy shit, how is everyone doing everything? I am dying. And then I'm realizing like, oh, they're also dying. They just can't talk about it because they get crucified. So I feel relieved because I'm chronically ill. I'm autistic. I am struggling under the weight of some of this, even though I know it's a part of the thing I signed up for. But Jesus, it's nice to hear that everyone isn't having the easiest job ever because I can't be the only one fucking struggling because then obviously I'm doing something wrong. But the truth is like everybody's struggling in different ways and everyone struggles for different reasons. And it's nice to hear that Hassan struggles because Jesus, okay, good. Whew, got it. It's nice to know you're not alone and feeling like overwhelmed by this job that is your dream job. It is a dream job, but it's still a job. And I think people just think like, oh, because you finally made it, you can do YouTube full time, that there's no stress that comes into it. That's not how the job works. Guys, like the stream, it really makes a huge difference. There's over almost 300 people here, like our 250 people here. Please like the stream, send a super chat if you're feeling so willing. And remember that there are exclusive videos for members right now on YouTube and Discord events. 6 events coming this April on the Discord. So different perks for different people, but please support if you have it by just liking the stream. It's free, it's easy, and it makes a huge difference.
gay and I should be more politically correct about that and I should actually be way more knowledgeable about it. And so I get asked a lot of fucking crazy questions that a lot of my peers would not get asked.
Okay, we're having a social faux pas happen in chat right now. 3 times, bro, you wrote me this message. It is I don't need an editor. You said, sorry if this is the wrong place to do this, but are you by any chance looking for an editor? Well, I'm not looking to build a professional relationship with somebody who spammed my chat 3 times. Think about what you're signaling. I'm not looking for an editor, but if I was, it wouldn't be the person in my chat who spammed me 3 times. Think about it. I don't know how old you are. Maybe you're just starting out. Maybe you're trying to get your foot in the door. Be more professional. And remember that the reason most YouTubers don't even want to work with editors is because y'all are drama. Okay, you got to find good editors that aren't going to be dramatic and make a video about you later. And this, you know what I'm saying? So girl, let's be a little bit more professional. Okay, and I will block you if you repeat spam that. Okay, but I certainly don't want to build any business relationships with people who don't have the business mindset. I need a little bit of a hustler's mindset, girls. Okay, thank you.
And that's because I'm gay. And that's because, like, I have, like, my opinions, but that doesn't mean I'm, like, completely, like, I don't know everything about every topic I have opinions on. Like, I don't know everything about, like, being gay. Like, I don't know everything about being a woman. I don't know everything about fucking fashion or drag or performing. Like, I try to know everything I can. But, like, when I don't answer a question correctly or, like, I don't acknowledge one community, it's like, how can I do it all? Like,
You can't.
How can these girls?
Okay, pause there. Tired Mom, thank you so much. Membership for 3 months. Says thanks for the stream today. Loving the convo. Thank you, girly. Thank you. Thank you. This is the part where Chappell Roan starts to get into hot water with the political stuff. And I will say, obviously, even though I'm not involved in politics in the traditional sense, I do think being openly queer is a form of activism. And I think that's whether Chappell likes it or not is just how the world is going to see her, because you know how conservatives are. You're just simply existing and they're like, I can't believe you're shoving your lifestyle down our throat. Right. So like she's forced into this position, which I hate for her. But I also think that she allowed herself to be forced into this position with the way that she came so hard into the political bubble in terms of her advocacy. So if I was Chappell Roan, I won't lie that I would love to use that opportunity to advocate for marginalized communities in the best way possible. Yes, but that's because that's where my brain is. I'm 35 years old, about to be 36. Chappell's 27. Maybe she thought it would be fun in the way that Gen Z often does think it's fun to like advocate for stuff without realizing the pressure that's about to follow up with it. Maybe she's not ready to take on that burden. Maybe she's not a leader. Being a leader is a very big deal. I don't want that stress half the time. But also, yes, when we think about an opportunity to be famous, we think of an opportunity to spread awareness about marginalized communities. And we're like, oh my God, I would love to do that. Chappell, I think, didn't sign up for this, but I think she signed up for it all the same. And I think that she needs to make a decision if she's going to be an advocate or not, and to expect some sort of advocacy while she is in the public eye. So she doesn't have to know everything about everything. I don't think any of us know everything about everything. I think most of us don't know as much as we could, right? When I was in politics, guys, I would consume it 24/7. I knew everyone's names, all the senators, presidents. I could name them. I could name like policies. I was like in the political bubble. I'm not in that bubble anymore. So I am somebody who doesn't know everything about everything, but I know enough to know what I'm advocating for when I try to. Okay, if I feel like I don't know what I'm saying, sometimes I try to like wait for a second. But Chappell needs to make a decision about how she's going to advocate for people. I hope she ends up choosing to advocate for marginalized communities in a way that makes her feel safe. But of course, people have the right to feel disappointed, right? You have the right to feel disappointed. And you have the right to not listen to her if you don't feel she is the kind of content creator or celebrity or artist that advocates for the things you want to see. That's so valid, right? It's so valid. I actually don't listen to Chappell's music let me rephrase. When I say I don't listen to people's music, I mean, in my free time, I don't listen to Chappell as a part of my music playlist. I have listened to Chappell, but I don't like, oh, let me turn on some Chappell. I'm not that kind of person, but maybe I will be in the future. My relationship with music is a little different, but I like Chappell as a person, and I like watching her in this situation. This is the first real interview I've ever seen of her. And I find her to be very neurodivergently unfiltered, not media trained. I find her to be really authentic and really real. I find her to also be somebody who needs to make a decision. Are you going to mask or not? Because if you don't mask, it's going to be hard for you to build a larger platform. But if you don't mask, you'll be an indie content creator. You'll be an indie celebrity, which is real. But this is again, this goes off my video from yesterday. When the world says they want your authenticity, they're not talking to us girls. They're not talking to neurodivergent people. They don't want our authenticity. They don't even want neurotypical's authenticity. They want a version of, this is like the Ryan Reynolds syndrome. Men will literally say, wow, Ryan Reynolds is so authentically himself. I can't believe he gets to play himself in every movie. They don't know it's fake. They don't know it's manufactured. They don't understand it's not him. Like, they literally think that's Ryan Reynolds 24/7. Wow, it's so cool he gets to play himself in movies. They don't understand that Ryan Reynolds is one of the most ruthless business people, which, okay, fine. Okay, he's incredibly scripted. The authenticity is a part of the brand. Chappell, people are saying they want her to be more media trained. You are literally saying you want her to be fake. This is what I mean to say people don't want authenticity. They want Chappell to come out masked, bubbly, happy. They want her to be a manufactured product. And that's why manufactured products do the best. Ariana Grande, Selena, Demi, all of these people, when they are in any way authentic, get canceled. Selena gets canceled all the time. Demi gets canceled all the time. Anytime they try to be themselves, the internet's like, I fucking hate you. Go back to being Go back to being the product that the companies gave me. So humans are going to human, but that's what's happening to Chappell. They don't want authenticity. They just want to feel like she's being authentic. So she's got to choose, mask or not to mask.
Girls tour.
Hold on, let me rewind it a little bit.
It's like, how can I do it all? Like,
you can't.
How can these girls tour, write, perform, interview, sleep, eat, and eat?
They don't, by the way. They don't. Something is being sacrificed. Something isn't happening. They're not eating, they're not sleeping, or their relationships are falling apart. They're never seeing their kids. They don't. Okay, throwback to my favorite Devil Wears Prada. Miranda might be at the top of her little faux Vogue magazine, but she's at the bottom when it comes to mothering. Okay? She's at the bottom when it comes to friendships and all of the great things. She's at the bottom when it comes to marriages. They're not doing everything. Something is failing. The illusion is that they're doing everything. The illusion we sell to women especially is that you can do it all, when men have never done it all. Men have never done it all. But they sell the illusion that people are doing it all. They never have, they never will.
And fucking work out. And like, how can they do it all and lead a team and be a boss and pay people and like, and be like fucking so politically educated? It's
exhausting.
Yeah, they're not. We're not. That's why most people are into politics. Most eligible voters don't vote. Being involved in politics and advocacy is a minority pastime, even if you're a majority person doing it. Even if you're a white dude who loves politics, you're in the minority of the American population. I need people to understand this. Most eligible voters aren't going out to vote. Most people do not care about voting. Politics is a niche community thing. I know it sounds like it's not, but it literally is. How many of you have watched global speeches from global leaders in the last 3 months that you would never thought to watch before? I have always had a special interest in politics since I was a kid. Like, there's a video of me literally as a child in 2000 talking about how I'm going to vote for George Bush because, I was conservative, but I was a baby. I was like a little kid. And my best friend was going to vote for Al Gore. And we stayed friends 20 something years later now. My bestie and I, okay? Like, people, there's so much information about the world. There are so many things to pay attention to. You can't do it all. That's why people do pick like niches. They pick the bubbles, they pick their special interests, and they stay there. And that's what they know about. They're like, this is what I know about. I don't know about anything else. The dilemma is that people will expect you to know stuff. The reason I say I'm not in politics is because I keep trying to explain to people not to rely on me on being a political streamer, but to rely on me to be a streamer who can talk about people, even when we're talking about politics. I'm not the political streamer you want me to be. I'm something so specific to my niche, but I appreciate that people would even want me to be that. But the realistic truth is I'm too nuanced for politics, girls. I'm sorry. I'm too damn nuanced for politics. Facts. That's why I love philosophy. Philosophy allows for nuance. Politics doesn't. This is why, and we'll cover this tomorrow, Hassan is being criticized by socialists on TikTok because they're coming from a philosophical moral perspective and he's coming from a political one at the end of the day. At the end of the day, Hassan is doing exactly what he should be doing. He's playing exactly the role he should be playing, but it is the role of somebody in politics. And politics is about winning. That's what it's about, girls. And Hassan has the best chance of winning. He literally has the best chance of winning. But he's obviously playing the political game. And it's okay for people to call him out because that's why women are calling him out. It's why socialists are calling him out. It's why even I stopped watching him because I was like, like the misogyny is too much for me. But also I understand he's playing the political game. When you're playing in the game of politics, you have to be as dirty as they are. It is too dirty, girls. It's too dirty for this skin of mine. I already have my little rosacea. I don't need more spots. You know what I mean? I don't need more spots on my face.
And it's also impossible. Also, why the fuck are you looking to me for some political answer? You think I have the fucking answer?
Because she branded herself that way. I do. I think Chappell Roan made a mistake of branding herself that way, but I think it's true. You shouldn't be looking at a 27-year-old pop star for political opinions, and you have the right to stop listening to her. Like I said, I'm not listening to Gaga. I haven't listened to her new album. I don't pay attention to certain artists. I feel like they're upholding the patriarchy in a way that I can't digest. Sometimes I still listen to some content creators or some people, but like I have taken people off my playlist because of their political stances. It's so valid. You are so valid. You do not have to like Chappell Roan if you do not like her opinions on politics. But I think Chappell better redo her branding though. You know what I'm saying?
But you're like, listen to my song, bitch. Turn it up.
Like, I'm a pop star. I wish I had the answers. I wish the president was a pop star, but she's not.
I feel like something that you just said that is very apparent, and I was excited today too, was like, this, what you're saying, we could do 19 fucking hours on, because it's like the double standard of one, you being a woman, two, you being a gay woman. There's so much that comes with it. And it's like everyone in interviews, like you said, like there's people asking you questions that you're like, I don't fucking know. Yeah. And that's why I'm excited that like, I feel like I'm excited that we're going to have fun today, and we're having fun and talking about more light topics, because it's clear that like, you're fucking funny. You're funny. You're a good time. I want to play a little game.
Okay, that's it for that segment. That's it. That was the segment. Then it goes on to small talk. They talk about dating, situationships. She says she's in a relationship. And she just goes on to being like so much more neurodivergent, where like she misses social cues. She's talking about her life in a way that I'm like, girl, you didn't get diagnosed, girl. With that said, I feel like we put way too much emphasis and responsibility on Chappell in the same way we do on everybody who is in ourselves. And again, it's okay for you to not want to listen to Chappell Roan. That's so valid. I just feel like we have to accept that we're going to be disappointed in people, whether it's ourselves or celebrities or anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, you are allowed to be disappointed by celebrities and to move on from them. You don't have to internalize it. You don't have to make a whole story about it. You don't have to do it. You could just say, you know what? I expected better and I'm not getting it. To be honest with you, I also didn't listen to Beyonce's latest album. I didn't listen to Cowboy Carter. I didn't. I couldn't. The Jay-Z, Diddy associations, all of it is just too much for me. It's too much. I'm burnt out on these types of people. Also, Beyonce apparently was going to perform in Israel after October 7th. Very strange decision. Like, I don't know. It's all very confusing to me. I'm exhausted. And I think I have the right to be exhausted while saying that I loved every album before that. I can say that I loved old Ye, but like new Ye, absolutely not. We are not giving him the time of day. Okay? Like, it is what it is. Same thing with Brittany Broski. I was never really like a viewer of Brittany, but I always liked Brittany. But yeah, like, she's allowed to be stressed. Look, when people first came to me about Palestine, I was way too fucking overwhelmed and way too PDA triggered to cover that topic. And I was like a year late. And my only regret is not advocating sooner. My only reality is that I couldn't. And you can accept that or not accept it, but listen to me when I say this. There is no way I could have been. I made the decision because it was the only one I could make. We are limited. This is why I say this. We are limited. We can only do what we can do. Everyone is doing their best, even if it's not what you wish you would have done. They say this about veganism. I'm not a vegan, but they said this about veganism, that the biggest regret vegans have is not doing it sooner. And I'm sure that would be true. If I became vegan for real, and I really believed what vegans did, then I will guarantee you that I will regret it. But I'm not vegan yet. It hasn't clicked in my brain to see animals as their own like moral agents, in a sense, that we're not entitled to their bodies, though I'm closer, girl, every day. But again, I know that will be a deep regret of mine, but I also can't do it faster than I can do it. I'm limited by my biological experience and my own relationship with timing. I'm not there yet. I'm just not there. But you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you that. I will. If I become vegan for real, it will be a regret of mine. I can see that. I get why that is. Vegan Gaze really explained it. Gaze, the lesbian, she really explained it to me so good, Ellie. Her communication style is so good for my brain. She really unlocked a lot of the problems I was having with the vegan community and their communication style. So giving me a lot to think about. I still think about that collab all the time, you know? I really think about it. Okay, with that said, that's our live stream for today. I'm going to finish recording Love is Blind this week, and then we're moving on to BoJack Horseman season 3. And I also have another show I'm recording as well on YouTube. So you guys will have that coming. Do you have any last comments, questions, quandaries? Anything else to talk about today? Anything else on your minds? Please like the stream before you guys go. Please share this with somebody who loves or hates Chappell Roan. Thoughts, questions, comments? Thank you guys too. I appreciate it. Yay, more BoJack. BoJack is coming, girls. Season 3. Let's go. Season 3. We'll start it at the, let me see. I can tell you. So Tuesday should be the start of BoJack Horseman season 3. The 8th, I start BoJack Horseman. And the next series I'll be covering on YouTube as well. I already have a series lined up. After Love is Blind, I already have BoJack lined up. Very excited. Already have a pod idea for this Monday. Very exciting stuff. On the Discord, we have 6 events coming in April. So there's 2 ways to support the content. And if you join, if you're a new patron and you haven't patroned, I'm having a sale, 25% off. It's on the main page. There's a code. So if you sign into Patreon, you should see a code. It only applies to, I think, new patrons. So if it is there, it's for spring. It's good for the next less than 30 days, but it is there, 25% off. Come join the Discord, 18 plus, because we don't want children in our Discord. Sunday, April 6th, Smash Tournament on the Switch. Crash Course Religions finishing the last 3 episodes. We have Professionally Taught Yoga, 30-minute class on the 13th. We're watching Holy Mountain and Everything Everywhere All at Once through the levels, since it's 2 of my favorite movies that I think depicts my levels, my philosophy system so well. My framework, the levels. If you guys want to come join us, come join us. Both great, intense movies. And then the Discord 101, great for new people, open discussion. Come join us April 27th. Okay, girlies, we did it. Girls and the gays, we did it. Thank you so much for staying. Thank you for liking. And I will see you guys again tomorrow, where we will discuss why people are so upset with Hassan for simply playing the political game. All right, let's go ahead and listen to Stuck in My Head by Devin Doe on our way out. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow.
Stuck
In my head, in real life I'm in bed. My belly's being fed and I'm okay. I'm just fine. All I do is whine. Have a good day, guys. I don't make sense.
I've been nothing but blessed. So why's my life a mess? Please tell me, 'cause I'm sick of thinking. Yeah, I'm sick of reaching out for the truth and living life as a fool. Trapped in this mind, trying hard to find the pieces to my life to make things clear. What you say? I was too busy calculating what adds up to me. But I know it's not solvable, an impossible puzzle. Yet here I am, trying to work it. Who's to say if it's worth it or just a waste? A never-ending chase me to the moon. Chase me till I am blue. I'm so blue. Color me see through till I fade away. Finally rest this brain here in this world, mysterious universe, or just a floating rock. We'll never know. It's just our brains perception's not the same. It depends on who you ask and what's their name. What's my name? Stuck in my head, in real life I'm in bed. My belly's being fed and I'm okay. I'm just fine, yet all I do is whine. Not to you in my mind, 'cause I know I don't make sense. I've been nothing but blessed, so why's my life a mess? Please tell me why I take things serious. It's insane, a bit delirious, all in vain. After all, life's just a game.